was an extremely disappointing decision by a conservative judge in Brownsville, Texas. It's not a surprise that Texas and 25 other states chose Brownsville to file this lawsuit. While it is disappointing, it is also an outlier. This decision pretty much ignores decades of legal precedent and constitutional authority. It's interesting that the judge did not rule the president's initiatives as unconstitutional. He decided to focus in 123 pages on a very procedural issue, which basically the judge found that the administration failed to follow the Administrative and Procedures Act and didn't go through a public comment period. That, despite the fact that legal scholars across the ideological spectrum agree with us that this wasn't required, that the president has prosecutorial discretion just as any other law enforcement agency does to decide how to use its limited resources, who to deport and who not to deport. And recently, the Supreme Court in 2012 in the Arizona versus U.S. Decision said very clearly and actually gave examples such as the administration has the authority not to deport parents of U.S. citizen children, workers, and others for humanitarian reasons. The president simply expanded the DACA 2012 initiative that he announced then, which is not being challenged by Texas and these states either.
I want to read from Judge Andrew Hanen's opinion. He wrote, quote, "The court finds the government's failure to secure the border has exacerbated illegal immigration into this country. Further, the record supports the finding that this lack of enforcement, combined with this country's high rate of illegal immigration, significantly drains the state's resources." Marie-Laine Incapié, talk about what he is saying here.
Yeah, the interesting thing, Amy, is our communities, especially those that live and work at the border, know full well that, in fact, this administration has very aggressively enforced. There's nothing about lax enforcement under the Obama administration. The border is more secure than ever before, and we've got record numbers of deportations in this country. What the administration finally did, and this is as a result of immigrants who have fought for and won this very significant victory. We're talking about dreamers, including some of the folks on today's show, dreamers, mothers and fathers, workers who have fought for this, including putting their lives on the line, civil disobedience, hunger strikes, etc. That is what has brought us to this place, the grassroots energy. And the judge basically decided to ignore even law enforcement leaders who came out in support and said, we need this for public safety reasons.
I want to turn to comments by Texas Governor Greg Abbott, who led the lawsuit against Obama's executive order on immigration, along with 25 other states. He spoke on Wednesday.
The district judge ruled that it was clear that the president's executive action violated what's called the Administrative Procedure Act. And because of that, it was unnecessary for the judge to dig deeper into the other legal claims that we've made. It is abundantly clear that the Obama administration has violated the Administrative Procedure Act. And as a result, I think that on that issue alone, we will win all the way up through the appellate ranks.
After a judge ruled in his favor, Governor Abbott tweeted President Obama's order, quote, has been ruled unconstitutional. Marie-Laine Incapié, is that correct?
Absolutely not. That is incorrect. And in fact, it's a reminder that Governor Abbott's comments are, this lawsuit is not about the legality or the constitutionality. This is a communications campaign by opponents of the executive action and, frankly, by opponents of immigrants. It's not a surprise, Amy, that when you look at the states that have filed this lawsuit, these are states that have passed anti-immigrant legislation, anti-worker legislation, anti-choice legislation, and who really are basically afraid of the demographic shift happening in this country. That is what this lawsuit is about.
Now, it's not as if we didn't know what the judge's personal views were. He previously called President Obama's Reprieve for undocumented immigrants, quote, an open invitation to the most dangerous criminals in society.
Yes, unfortunately, that is why we expected this decision. And we expected the decision. Our communities are ready and prepared, and we see this as a temporary setback. This is not the end of this. And in fact, it's really important for viewers and listeners to understand that this decision does not affect the current DACA program either. Those who currently have DACA under the 2012 initiative or who are up for renewal or who haven't applied yet are still protected. That this decision, And it doesn't also affect any of the other initiatives announced by the president on November, including the new priorities with respect to deportation.